He's taking on one of his most ambitious projects ever, trying to build the world's most unique patio, with absolutely no idea what he's doing. What starts as a simple backyard space quickly turns into a massive experiment, combining glowing lights, creative design, and even a smokeless fire pit that no one believed could actually work. Every step of this build is a test of patience, creativity, and the result will blow your mind. It had been over a year since he touched his parents' garden, and the old fire pit had seen better days. So, he figured it was time for an upgrade that would match the jacuzzi, sauna, and all the other wild features he had already built around the house. He started by marking a perfect circle using a 14-foot board and a nail, giving the patio a 7-foot radius. Then, he sketched a small path to connect the new space with the old one. In the past, he would have dug everything by hand, but now, pushing 30 and dealing with sore shoulders, he brought in heavy equipment to get the job done faster, and he loved every second of it. They dug the area down 6 to 7 inches, first trying to haul the dirt with a wheelbarrow, then speeding things up with a trailer from his dad's workshop. After about an hour, most of the dirt was gone, and he cleaned up the edges with a shovel for a neat finish. Next came the foundation, a weed-blocking fabric, 3.5 inches of clean gravel for drainage, then 2 more inches of finer gravel. Finally, he leveled it all with a slight slope so water could flow away. With the base set, he prepared the mold for pouring concrete, carefully measuring the inner and outer circles of what would soon become a stunning natural fire pit. Step by step, this forgotten backyard was turning into a modern outdoor retreat, built with creativity, precision, and passion. After that, he traced the circle onto a wooden board and cut it out using a power saw. Once all the circles were ready, he took some 2x4 lumber and cut several pieces to the same length. These would form the height of the fire pit, roughly 12 to 14 inches tall. He attached them to the wooden circle, creating the basic frame for the mold. The mold now had an inner and outer wall, but it still needed a flexible layer to hold the concrete in place. He used an 8-inch sheet coated with white melamine. The melamine was perfect, it allowed the curves he needed and made it easy to remove the mold once the concrete dried. He cut several strips and fixed them around the frame, and the mold was almost ready. The final prep step was ventilation. He had 4 steel pipes, 1.5 inches in diameter, which he cut to equal lengths. He drilled holes in the outer wall of the mold and inserted the pipes. These would act as air vents for the fire pit, helping to reduce smoke during use. Small wooden blocks were then attached to hold the pipes in place while the concrete was poured. Finally, it was time for the concrete. He used a crack-resistant mix reinforced with fiberglass fibers for strength and durability under high heat. He mixed the bags with water until the consistency was perfect, then began filling the mold. His brother shoveled the concrete in while he tapped the sides with a small wooden mallet to remove air pockets and make sure it settled evenly. They used about 7 bags of concrete and stopped pouring about 5 centimeters below the top to avoid making the pit too tall. After letting it cure for several days, they removed the mold. The ventilation system worked well, though he wished he had used slightly larger pipes for better airflow. Next came the trickiest part, shaping the curved boards to match the circular patio floor. He had some cedar boards in his workshop, 5 by 20 centimeters, and cut 3 pieces to size. Using a special drill, he made fastening holes along the sides of each board, preparing them for installation. Once the wooden pieces were aligned, he applied wood glue to hold them firmly together and then secured them with hidden screws for extra strength. After letting the glue set, he began working on the curves. He measured the space needed and drew the required circle using the board as a giant compass. With the shape marked, he cut the wood with a power saw, using the first piece as a template to create a second piece of the exact same size. Next, he prepared a set of wooden posts, all cut to the same length, to support the bench, just like he had done for the fire pit mold. Each post was fastened with long screws, creating a solid, stable frame. After installing all the posts, he flipped the structure over and attached the top surface, resulting in a strong bench that could hold the weight of stone and concrete for years. He repeated the same steps to build a second bench. Then came the stonework. He installed cement boards on the benches to ensure the stone would adhere properly. To cut the boards with minimal dust, he scored them with a sharp utility knife several times, placed a piece of wood underneath, and snapped them cleanly. Any backing layers were removed as needed for precision. Since the boards were slightly flexible, he could bend them to follow the curves. He then brought in the stone veneer, which he purchased locally for about $2,000. These are actual cut faces from large, real stones, about 2.5 centimeters thick, light enough to handle easily but still giving a completely natural appearance. To install the stone, he applied mortar specially designed for natural stone to the back of each piece, using extra on the curved sections for a stronger bond. He lightly sprayed water on the cement board, pressed the stone firmly into place, and removed any excess mortar with his finger. By the end of the day, the stones were securely in place. The process was like assembling a giant puzzle. Each piece had to fit perfectly. The smaller the gaps between stones, the more natural and elegant the finished benches and fire pit would look. For the corners and edges, he used a special type of stone that easily wraps around curves, giving a neat and polished look. He continued this process for several days until the fire pit and benches were fully covered with stone. Next, it was time to pour the concrete surface for the fire pit. He measured the inner and outer diameters and transferred them onto a plywood board, using the same method as before. He used leftover wooden pieces and secured them with screws along the drawn lines. He also added decorative edge molds to form patterned walls for the concrete, and the wooden supports ensured everything stayed in place during the pour. Before pouring, he sprayed a release powder on the mold so the concrete could be removed easily once it dried and to help maintain the pattern's color. He mixed extra bags of crack-resistant concrete, enough to fill the mold halfway, and added fiberglass rods to hold the slab together for strength. As the concrete was poured, he tapped the edges with his fingers to remove air pockets and used trowels to level the surface. After an hour or two of curing, it was firm enough to start imprinting the stone pattern. He used an elastic mold with the stone pattern and pressed it onto the concrete in order, similar to the way road patterns are stamped but on a smaller scale. This was his first attempt, and the results were impressive. The next day, he removed the side molds, cleaned the surface, and repeated the same steps on the benches and table. While the molds and powders were expensive initially, about $100, after purchasing them the cost per surface dropped to roughly $20, and he could reuse the materials for future projects. Before placing the concrete surfaces, he used a metal ring inside the fire pit. This specialized ring prevents smoke from escaping by creating an air gap. Hot air moves between the ring and concrete, ensuring the fire burns efficiently with zero smoke. The ring was about 30 inches in diameter, leaving a 1-inch air gap around it. For the benches, he applied a strong construction adhesive on the wood in a wavy pattern before placing the concrete surfaces on top. The mixture he prepared was slightly watery to fill all gaps easily. He used a piping bag to push the mortar into the spaces between stones, then leveled it and cleaned the surface with a brush for a smooth final look. For the outdoor stone tiles, he first installed plastic edging to separate them from the grass and prevent weeds. He chose thick, 2-inch stone slabs, leaving enough room to install LED strips between them. Using a high-quality saw, he cut the slabs to fit, adjusting as needed with a mallet to ensure they were level. The stone pieces weighed between 50 and 300 pounds, so positioning them required care and patience. Finally came the moment everyone was waiting for, the LED lighting. He installed high-quality, multicolor LED strips designed for outdoor use. Silicone coating made them waterproof, allowing them to be placed between the stones safely. He ran the strips along the entire area, securing them with pins every 30 centimeters to keep them in place. The LEDs were controllable via mobile, allowing full customization of colors and brightness. As the finishing touch, He covered the LED strips with special tempered glass to create a smooth walking surface and evenly distribute the light. The result was breathtaking. The smoke-free fire pit worked perfectly, the stone benches looked stunning, and the LED lighting created a magical atmosphere unlike anything seen elsewhere. The total cost of this entire project was around $10,000, and the outcome exceeded all expectations. If you love this video, drop a comment below with the next amazing project you want us to tackle. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.